Today I'm going to be showing you how to knit this 2-row repeat chevron stitch. This is made with 20 plus 1 stitches. So 21 stitches, 41 stitches, 61 stitches. For this blanket right here, I cast on 241 stitches. This is Cotton King's Sultan yarn. This is 100% cotton yarn, and the blanket that I am making with this yarn takes just one ball of yarn, one cake of yarn to make the entire blanket, and it will be using this 2-row repeat stitch that I'm about to show you. If you want to learn how to cast on, you can check out my long tail cast on method there. For this tutorial, I will be casting on 41 stitches. This is a really straightforward 2-row repeat pattern. On one of the rows, you're just going to be knitting all the stitches, and on the other row, we are going to be increasing and decreasing our stitches to make our chevron pattern. I've got 41 stitches on my needles here, and I'm going to turn my work and begin my first row, which is a knit row. I will be knitting every single stitch here. There's nothing special that happens with these stitches. I'm just going to knit all the way across. To do a knit stitch, I'm going to insert my needle from the left to the right underneath my other needle, wrap the yarn around and pull it through, and then slip that stitch that I just worked off the needle. A really fun saying to remember this is stab it, strangle it, rip its guts out, and throw it off the cliff. That's how I just taught my friend Shannon how to knit, and she really liked saying that over and over again. I did my cast on row, and then I did one row of knit stitch, and now we're ready to get into our pattern. So the first thing we're going to do with our first stitch on here is knit in the front and the back. So I'm going to knit the first portion like usual, but I'm not going to take the loop off of my hook when I do that. So first off, I'm going to knit as I would normally. Without slipping this off of my hook, I'm going to come and take a look at the back here and stick my needle through the back loop as well. And I'm going to knit through here. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around my needle, pull it through the back loop, and then I will pull this loop off of my needle. So I just turned one loop into 2. Now I'm going to knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm ready for my first portion of the chevron. I'm going to knit the next 3 stitches together. So knit 3 together. I'm going to take my needle and stick it into the first stitch back here and underneath all 3 stitches. This can be a little bit difficult to ensure that these stitches don't slip off of your left hand needle. But then I'll knit like usual by wrapping my yarn around and pulling through all of those stitches, pulling them all off of the needle, my apologies. Now I'm going to knit 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 is the magic number here. So I've done my knit 3 together, I knit 8 across, and now I need to make one. So I'm going to be knitting into this bar right here that separates my 2 stitches. So instead of moving to this next stitch, I need to create one right here. You can either do so by navigating your left hand needle from the front to the back to pick up that bar, or you can use your right hand needle to pick up that bar of yarn from the front like so, and then navigate that onto your left hand needle. Either way, we're getting this bar of yarn onto our needle so that we can knit into it. Now we're going to look at the back loop here, and we're going to be knitting into the back loop. So we'll navigate our needle into the back loop there and knit as usual by pulling through a loop and then pulling that loop off of our needles. Then we'll knit one like regular and make one again, knitting through the back loop. So we've just made one, knit one, make one. And now we're back to the beginning again where we are going to knit 8. So let's get back to knitting 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we are going to knit 3 together. So let's find our 3 stitches here. Navigate our needle into there and pull up a loop and knit all 3 stitches together. And then we'll knit 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And once we are done with that last repeat, we should have 1 stitch remaining. Now we're going to knit into the front and the back of this last stitch. So knit into the front like usual, then find our back loop and knit into the back loop as well. And that completes our second row. For our third row, we're going to go back and knit all of our stitches. We don't need a count on this row, on the odd numbered rows, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, however many rows you're going to do. It is all just going to be the knit stitch. The way that I like to remember if this is my knitting row or my increase and decrease row is that my tail of yarn is on this side of the work. So whenever I see the tail of yarn on the work that I'm going to continue doing, I know that I'm going to knit all the stitches going away from the tail. That's why I don't weave in the tail at the very beginning of my project, because it lets me know what side of the work I'm on. And since this is just a 2-row repeat, it helps me figure out what I need to do next, especially if I put the project down and pick it up at a later date. I'm going to finish knitting all these stitches and then we're going to get back to our repeat row. You can see our chevron pattern sort of coming together now. Everywhere where we knit 3 together is going to create a point down, and everywhere that we will knit one, make one, knit one, make one is going to point up in our chevron. So it'll create that zigzag pattern for us. Now we're back to our repeat row. And I'll go through this one more time and then set you loose to make whatever you feel like making. We'll do this one a little bit double time. So we're going to knit in the front and back of the first stitch of our row, and then we're going to knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we get to knit 3 together. We'll grab our 3 stitches here and knit those bad boys together. Then we knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to make one, knit one, make one. So we make one, we knit one, and we make one. That portion where we knit 8, knit 3 together, knit 8, make one, knit one, make one, that is the repeat. So keep repeating that until you get your 20 stitches remaining, which is where we knit 8, knit 3 together, knit 8, and then we knit in the front and the back for the last portion. So you can make this however long you want. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we knit 3 together. Picked up an extra bar there. Now we are on our last knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My ball's getting closer and closer. And then we knit one in the front and the back. And this makes our work symmetrical. And there you have it. There's your chevron repeat pattern. I am currently making a blanket using the chevron pattern, so you can see as you get more stitches on here, the pattern becomes more apparent, where you've got these downward points and then the ones facing up. This is Hobie's or Cotton King Sultan 100% cotton yarn. I got this on Hobie.com, and I'm going to be using one ball for an entire blanket. This is 241 stitches total, and the entire blanket is just going to take one ball of yarn, and it is using this chevron stitch. There you have it.